So my parents made the decision we were leaving and heading to New Jersey. So here we go. We're on 10th Avenue in the west side on the 30s, and into the car we go. And there was no truck because we really didn't have anything to bring over there. Anyway, so here we start our trip. Unlike today, there were only two tunnels at that time. The one that was built shortly after was what we to this day call the new tunnel. It must be about 50 years old or so. Anyway, so we took the Lincoln Tunnel because it was right by where we lived to cross under the Hudson River and came out into New Jersey. My parents had bought a house in Essex County, New Jersey, which was pretty close to New York City, actually. I'll tell you how many miles in a moment. So, anyway, Belleville and Nutley both, those towns would both have a significant importance to us. But Belleville was the town we were moving to. So, off we went to Belleville, New Jersey. I don't remember everything clearly, but I could tell you the roads were very, very much different. There weren't quite as many lanes, etc., or traffic even. So here we come to our street in this little town of Belleville, New Jersey, and it had grass and it was just so neat. There were no trucks, so we were able to just look at it kind of in awe. We'll talk a little bit about the house and the neighborhood and things like that shortly. So we ended the travel to this other state, and it was so far. Not really. We went 11 miles. That's all. It was 11 miles, but it was an absolute whole new world for us. So here we go, first of the family to leave the city of New York, and we were moving on. So here we are at the house in New Jersey. There I am with my mom sitting on our stoop. So we all still called it a stoop. And You can't tell from that particular picture, but the house was 975 square feet. So it was triple what we had in New York. So that was nice. And you could see we had a nice big window in the front. Not so much the rest of the windows. There wasn't a whole lot. There were windows, but they weren't extremely big, but it didn't matter. We had grass. You could see we had some plants. We had neighbors next door. There's a bicycle in the driveway. I don't remember any of my friends having bikes in New York, so this was also pretty new. Pretty much everybody was the same age here, and most of the families had members that had returned from World War II. And as most people had done at that time, they were leaving the urban areas and they were going out to these new developments that were, I don't know what they called them in those days. Today they probably call them cookie cutter homes, kind of like Levittown, New York. But so everybody was in the same boat. We were all the same age. Our mothers worked during World War II. Our dads served during World War II. And they were making a life that they wanted out here. They wanted just a simple, better life. So here is our house. You can't see it, but the front is red on the house. And here I am in the backyard. We had our neighbors behind us were from Italy. By the way, most of the people in town were from Italy when we first moved there. You could see we had a little garden, so I'm sitting in front of that little garden. But they had a huge garden behind us. And, they were so nice, of course, and provided us vegetables whenever we wanted it, whenever they were growing. And The owner was also a mechanic. You see his little hut also there behind where he did a lot of work. So here, my parents here with my brother, and you could see the car, and I think it was a DeSoto, but please don't. Or is that a Plymouth? Anyway, there's our car, and you could see that it was. My mom is dressed. My brother was, I believe, graduating from eighth grade, and my dad. That uniform was my dad was a bus driver. So it was like having the honeymooners real time. You can see all the houses are the same, and it's kind of interesting. Is everybody got by with it and was just in such awe, having everybody pretty much had come from the same kind of environment. As a matter of fact, several of the people in the block were not too far from our neighborhood in New York City. So my dad got a job with a bus company in New Jersey, and the bus company simply went from New Jersey to New York. So it picked like six or seven towns in New Jersey. And so my dad did a thing called trippers. So what that meant was in the morning he took a bus into New York City. And after he did that, he was off until he came back late in the afternoon. So what he did was he worked on the New York City docks as a dock worker, loading trucks for a trucking company on 12th Avenue. So he was working two jobs. And what would eventually happen is he would become the dispatcher for the bus company in the Port Authority. But we're going to talk about that later on. Now, I found this picture recently. My mother worked at a very small company in Belleville at the time. This was her workbench. There was no heat. I'm sorry, there was no air conditioning. There was heat in there. And you could see is she worked on what was then an assembly line with her little particular workstation. And I think they were making dialers or something like that. I don't quite remember. And if you look on the left, you can see some of the chemicals she had to use at her station. She had a little brush. And so she worked there. I think after I went to school, I was in first grade, I believe, when my mom started working here. So my mom stayed home with me through kindergarten. And then off she went to work, and my mom would work from that point on um, until I think she would work for about another 30 or 40 years after that. But of course, mothers always work. Doesn't have to be a paying job. It could be a fulfilling job with your children and husband. My dad always worked two jobs. I don't remember him ever working one until we moved later, which we'll talk about down to Florida. My brother went to the public school, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But anyway, he went to Belleville. Now, this was nice. There was no arguments about the name of the school. He went to number seven. So he went to PS 7. I didn't. So I went to Holy Family School in Nutley. And so what happened was, I don't know if you could tell from the pictures, but and I already told you, my mother's family was from Italy, and so we went to Holy Family. And when we went in there, my parents wanted both my brother and I to go there because they didn't really know the schools or anything, and they felt safe maybe going to a Catholic school. So we went to Holy Family, and they met with Monsignor DeLuca, and Monsignor DeLuca, it was a relatively new school, and my brother could not get in because it was absolutely full at the higher grades. I was 4 years younger than my brother. But they didn't have any openings there. So Monsignor DeLuca looks at my mom and he says, "What's a you name? What's a you maiden name?" So she told him her maiden name, which was extremely Italian. He goes, "One opening." And so for the next 8 years, actually for the next 9 years, I went to Holy Family School where I graduated in the 1960s. And The picture here is kind of interesting. You can see the flag being raised. Uh, I got in trouble once at Holy Family, um, as young people will. Nothing serious. But my job for the rest of my time in Holy Family was to raise and lower the flag every single day. Yes, I got the attendance pin because I was always there. But anyway, I learned how to fold the United States flag properly, and and it happened during the increase of states from 48 to 50. So I had to learn to do the stars exactly right when I folded the flag. So to this day, I remember folding the flag, and actually, I'm kind of happy that I did it. So there I was at Holy Family, being taught by the Filipini nuns from Italy. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. I would go on to take 8 years of Italian at Holy Family. So we were firmly entrenched in New Jersey.